to the ridiculous. Because here we make the sublime clear. We make the ridiculous make sense. That is every Sunday from 12 to 12:30. WMQM, 1600 AM on your radio dial. And the number to call, get on the line. Grab a line, 901-327-3400. Because guess what? We have speakers who are exciting, interesting, fascinating, and knowledgeable. And if you do not believe me, just hold on. To be a guest on the show, call 901-644-0186. In fact, advertise on the show. You can listen to the show on radio.com, WMQM 1600 AM. The show can be seen on YouTube as well, because here we debate the issues. We take positions, we define and defend those positions. We offer analysis, we present solutions, and we provide leadership for the African American community. As they say in Latin, vox populi, the voice of the people. You remember that one? Mm-hmm. That was one of my first assignments. But in the studio today, we have the lost poet. We have Brother Jibril from Marcus Garvey Teaching and Learning Academy. And as usual, Brother Dr. Comrade Talut, El-Amin. Visit him on Talut at Twitter. Our brothers, thanks for coming.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to go, I want to do a couple of things, a couple of shout outs and plugs before I go to our guest, the Lost Poet. But let me just thank Kwanzaa International on Elvis Presley Boulevard, 1549, 249-4563. Or you may call 239-1555. That is Dr. Kaya Nantambu or Brother Baruti. We want to thank Sister Desi X for her continued support at the House of Knowledge Preschool, Pre-Love, 975 Thomas Street, 901-277-5917. And Brother Jibril is in the studio with us. Remember, Marcus Garvey raised the question one time. He asked, "Where are your schools?" And Brother Jibril stood up and he said, "Here's one right here." Located at Log Parkway and Lauderdale, 901-643-6271. And if you want to donate to the show, you like what you hear for continued service and information, send your donation to the Wallace Redd Love Power Show, P.O. Box 41573, Memphis, Tennessee, 38174, 1573. And now I want to go to our knowledgeable guest, exciting and interesting, the Lost Poet. And let's get right into it, brothers. Lost Poet, give us the etymological origin of the word nigger.
Okay.
And how are we spelling that today? Are we spelling it Nigger, or are we putting our creative twist on it as in Nigga? Let's roll. Let's rock and roll.
It really doesn't matter.
All right.
Because the etymological root of the word goes back to Sanskrit, which is Indo-European languages. And it was Naga, N-A-G-A. And it represented someone who had tapped into that Kundalini energy, which leads to the pineal gland opening up and the third eye is open. And so that person was deemed to be divine and kingly. So when you say nigger, you're really talking about somebody who is divine in its root meaning. You're not talking about somebody that Europeans impose the negative connotations on.
Okay. I was a bit apprehensive. You know, briefly we talked about that. Since you said that, and I'm not going to talk much myself. I want to hear from you guys. But I have to mention Joel Augustus Rogers and what we were talking about outside, and the world's great men of color, how he talked about Amir Bar.
Okay.
And that's where we got our admirals from, people who were admired, and how he sailed the seas. And when the Europeans were on their way going one way, the Africans were on their way. They were on their way coming back. They had already been there.
Correct.
So and he was admired, and so that makes me think about the word in that sense. Go ahead. Second question. Tell us about it's a little bit more about its evolution. The word's evolution.
Okay. So
how it has evolved. What has it evolved to? Who's trying to use the word? Do they help ulterior motives. You know, I told you that my son lives in San Pablo. He's seen Filipinos using the word, looking around to see how far they can go with it or what they can get away with.
Right. Well, you have different groups and ethnicities who use the word today in America. I remember when I lived in D.C. and I would be riding the trains and there'd be a cipher of Caucasian guys calling each other nigger.
Okay.
Same thing with Asians, same thing with Hispanics. So everybody uses the word without really knowing the true meaning of it. It only becomes pejorative when we get to the 19th century.
Okay.
That's when it becomes pejorative, a negative term, and then Europeans impose the negativity on it. And so that causes a lot of hurt among our people, so that's why they don't like the word being used by Europeans on them.
Okay, I won't comment on that, but we touched on that also, that whole emotion thing. Brother Jibril.
Yes, sir.
Say a few words about.
Well, let me say
Yes.
what I understand about the term nigger. And that term came to me in my early childhood. That's where I learned the term from. And it always had that negative connotation to it. The people that was in charge of us as a people have always kicked us around with that terminology. And it's always been a negative term on one hand, but it's been a term of endearment on the other hand.
Exactly.
You know, when that word is mentioned by us as a culture, on this side of the tracks, not on both sides of the track, it's, you know, we have called each other that in the past. You know, but all of a sudden, back in the late 50s and early 60s, we decided that we were going to eliminate that particular term from the vocabulary, our own and the slave master himself.
Okay.
So we took that term out of the American lexicon. We thought we did anyway, up until the 90s or whatever it came back.
Okay.
But
Hip-hop.
well, not hip hop, rap. You know. But the term seemed to surface again. You know, because we didn't want that term to be one of those dividing points when we was trying to negotiate who we were as a people, coming up out of the 60s. You know, and
what group did you say we in?
we in the black movement.
The black movement, okay.
Yeah. We just didn't want that to be one of those terms that either modified us or had anything to do with us. So in the military, we didn't allow that word.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't against the law or the UMCJ, you know, but we just didn't allow that word to come across to us as military people because we wore a uniform that represented the United States of America.
Okay.
And so we decided then that that word was not going to be a term that we was going to comply with.
Okay. Dr. Talut, put it in perspective for us.
Well, I had this discussion yesterday on Twitter. A Caucasian guy, white guy, European, whatever word you want to use to describe him, and I was discussing it. He felt like the word has zero significance. And the reason why is that in the society we talk about, or they talk about all kinds of people. And they use all kinds of racial slurs or definitions or terms to identify those people. And he felt like the word nigger should be accepted as part of our lexicon. Okay? But what I told him is this, that I don't think that's true. I don't think we commonly use negative words to identify other ethnicities. I think we hold back on that in general.
Who holds back?
All American people.
Oh,
Or the world. Or the world.
The world hold back,
Yes.
hold back in your
In
estimation.
using negative terms in the popular community.
For the
okay?
most part, you're saying? But some people do not.
Hardly ever
But-
use it. We don't hear
Okay.
it. We don't hear it in the media
Public discourse.
or in
Okay.
the public.
Okay.
Okay? If it's said, it's mentioned in the privacy of one's home or workplace or bathroom or wherever you want to use it in, right? Okay. So the thing is, my position is that nigger should be one of those words that the general public doesn't use.
Okay.
Okay? And should hold back from it.
Okay.
From the perspective of one ethnicity identifying another.
Okay.
Okay? In other words, Caucasians should not use that word when identifying black Americans.
All right, let me go. I want to go back to the lost poet now. You said quite a few things that raised some more questions. But as honorable men who are concerned about their people, themselves in terms of self-respect, lost poet, do you agree with Ann Coulter, as Ned Lamont Hill does? White people, and the doctor just said it, should not use the word nigger. Do you agree?
Not totally.
Not totally.
Because I know they're going to use it anyway. And so I'm more of a realist when it comes down to the use of the word. I mean, if you can't say nigger, then you can't say Niger. You can't say Nigeria. I mean, there's only one G missing in those words. So Niger actually means king in Igbo. Nigeria actually means queen in Igbo. So nigger only has an extra G. And again, it's only pejorative because Europeans have said it. And so maybe in the sense that they can't say it to you personally, but you know they're going to say it privately, like you said.
Brother Jibril,
You know,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you agree that, well, I think we all agree that the word has evolved from what it once was. At one time it meant something different, but somehow it has come to be negative, and Dr. Talut has taken the position that the word should be banned. What's your position?
You know, the dominant culture can give power to a word or a term. You know, anybody that in a dominant kind of situation over another people, they can always give power to the term. Myself, you know, I think this is the way I look at it in a culture context and in a historical context, is that the word nigger was meant to be a part of what the slave master, when he got through breeding the kind of individual he wanted, then he gave that name to him, nigger.
Mm-hmm.
You a nigger, you my nigger. You gonna do what I say do, when I say do it, and this kind of thing, and you a lazy nigga, you a this and you a that and you a whatever, you know, because it's a part of the slave master creation.
Okay.
You know, we didn't create no nigga. We created African people. That's where we come from. Now the slave master, if there's a nigga on the planet Earth, the slave master made him.
Okay. Should the word be banned, and do we have the power? The word has evolved. Do we have the power to devolve the word? Should the word be
Brother,
banned?
I don't care what they do with the word nigga.
Okay.
You know, cause that ain't where I am.
Okay.
You know, I'm a whole nother kind of thinking individual.
Okay. So you're not concerned with the word at all?
None of it. You know, I mean, I know names of all kinds of ethnicities out here.
Okay.
From the Italians to the Irish to the Chinese, Vietnamese, all kind of names that have been negative towards these people in their culture.
Okay.
But I don't use them. I don't have to.
Right, I understand.
You know, I have a vocabulary.
Have you ever used it?
Yes, I've used it in
But you've grown.
private conversations. You know.
You've grown. You're not using it even in private
I
conversations
would use
today.
it
is
now
that
in a
right?
private conversation if I have somebody
you
that I'm
do?
trying to drive a message home to them and let them know, you know, the distinction in ethnicity.
And so that goes back to the power of the word.
The power of the word.
Yeah.
Dr. Talut, no, let me
But
go.
what I was
let me
saying
go.
though, I
Go
wasn't
ahead.
talking about the word nigga, I was talking about these other words that describe other people in their culture.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. I could say
Oh.
spick, I could say dago, you know, I could say these words. But
Well,
I don't need these words
I know
to
what you're
express
saying.
myself.
I know what you're saying.
you know.
Now that's sort of what the lost poet was saying, that these words will be used anyway, because what that is known as stereotyping, And then
Sure.
after stereotyping
Mhm.
negative, you get scapegoating, and then the less powerful people are the ones who catch the bad end of the deal.
Well,
Let me go.
We are people
I
that
think
in class back then, you know.
it's Dr. Talut's time. Let me go to you, Dr. Talut. Share with us.
Well, the word nigger,
Should we be concerned with it?
yes,
Okay.
most certainly.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Why?
Because it could get out of hand, and the word nigger has actually initiated all kinds of violence. Okay, a lot of people have lost their lives in defense of themselves because someone from another ethnic group called them a nigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's the jump off point. Okay, two men can be arguing of different ethnicity, can be arguing with one another, but until that man called the other one a nigger, there's most likely no violence. Okay, so we have to be careful because people have lost their lives
They've lost
about
their lives.
this word. I mean, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of African Americans have. Okay, from slavery up into today.
Okay. I want to go to the lost poet again.
My thing
Is that?
about
Yeah,
that
you-
though is that that's the emotional
The emotional
attachment
part of
that
it.
we were talking about earlier because of the institution of slavery. So a lot of people still have slave mentalities, and so they still have that emotional attachment to the word. But if you've gone beyond that slave mentality, then that word has no effect on you.
On you as an
Real.
individual.
Right.
But sounds like the word should be addressed still because there are still vestiges of these negative connotations still with us. But
Right.
Lost Poet, can you bless us with a piece of your poetry?
Oh, of course.
And then we
That's
will,
what I do.
we will transition. Yes.
Speaking of nigga.
Yeah.
Niggas got blood on their hands. Niggas got blood on their hands. But they don't seem to understand how they got blood on their hands. Why they got blood on their hands. Living in a strange land. Following a strange man. That's how they got blood on their hands. That's why they got blood on their hands. But they can't seem to understand. Freedom. I just want to be free. To be me. To write when I feel like it. To fight when I feel like it. Day or night, you will still like it. Freedom is calling me, and it says Africa. Home is calling me, and it shouts Africa. Mother is calling me, and she whispers Africa. Father is calling me, and he says Africa. I can find no peace inside the belly of the beast. Keeps me irritated like yeast, infections, injections. My pen is my protection, perfection. 720 degrees in sections. Study the lessons. King of the continents, no guessing. Brought here a slave, leaving for freedom. Free to take what I gave. Free to be righteous. Free not to crave. Capital, white faces. Devils in all places. No traces, no clues. Paid too many dues with no return. Burn, devil, burn. Feel the sun's heat in the night. See his majesty in the light. Freedom is calling me, urging me. I cannot give up the fight. But I'm going to a new place to write. Africa is calling me. Starving in America. Taxed in America. Relaxed in America. Lost my edge. I pledge allegiance to the God in me. Lift the rod and see. The Black Sea parted. Cold-hearted. All who get in the way never ended, never started. Alpha and Omega raise up those dearly departed. Poor righteous teacher who's an artist. Freedom be the goal for our children. 2 sons, 3 daughters, drinking contaminated waters. Escape, spread out, close down the borders. No peace, no freedom. Africa, Kwashiorkor children, must feed them. Africa, bring them back to health. Coming to America, land of slaves and wealth. Ancestors are calling me. Mother is calling me. Father is calling me. Freedom is calling me. Home. Niggas got blood on their hands. Niggas got blood on their hands. But they can't seem to understand how they got blood on their hands. Lost Poet. Peace.
Lost Poet. Lost Poet.
Lost shade.
No, I shade. Lost Poet. The Lost Poet. And that brings, actually, Brothers, we have 23 questions, so we may have to come back. But
You might want to let there's some callers who want to call in too.
okay, did they call the number? Call the line?
They want the number again.
901-327-3400. Is that right, Isaac?
Yes, sir.
901-327-3400. And while we wait for a caller, let's go to Brother Jibril right quick. Brother Jibril, in the 60s, you were your group, a group of people, stopped white people, it's a double question, from using the word nigger. Is that a sense of power and control? And what process did you all use to stop white people from using the word? And then we've got a call on the line.
Well, brother,
Hold on, caller. We're coming right to you after Brother Jibril.
we, as a negotiating group, trying to achieve a level where we can negotiate our status here in the Western world, we wanted to make certain that we had certain words that wouldn't come into play into a legitimate debate. And that was one of those words. And that was a part of how we managed to take that word out of the vocabulary. Because sometimes, you know, when you say the word nigger to some people, they see red. And they want to go for the jugular vein.
Yeah.
You know. And we understood that. You know. And but we say, well, you know, in order for us to achieve the diplomatic kind of status to negotiate who we were as a people. Let's take for instance the SBA at University of Memphis. Once upon a time, there wasn't no black student union out there.
Okay.
We negotiated that. We
Okay,
wanted wrong with
negotiation.
that.
You
Yeah,
guys
we-
negotiated the SBA, same as you
Well,
negotiated this
we-
particular
out of
program
the
here.
protest.
We got
Out of the
out of
protest.
protest. We've got
You
a
know.
caller on the line. Can we, not to interrupt you, but can we go to the call and see if they have a
If you
question or
choose to,
comment?
brother.
And we've got 6 minutes. We've got a lot to do in 6 minutes. Come on, caller.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing good,
Yeah,
as you can see and tell.
Thunder, man, very interesting.
Yes, sir.
Before the word nigger, they used to bother me, but I think once people know where the word came from, it came from Africa, it came from the word Niger.
Okay, right. That's what the law sport said.
But, I mean, that's a question.
Yes.
There's an exhibit in this regard called Ashley and Aiden. Is Aiden a black man?
Aiden,
Amen.
amen. As in El-Amin,
Yeah, I mean,
as in originally
is that a brother?
out of Egypt, Ra, God, Godhead. Let's see.
Amen-Ra.
Um,
One God.
One.
Law sport, take that. Can you take that? And we've got, look,
Is that
Yeah.
where they come from?
we've got a brother who's going to take that. We've got 5 minutes, and I want to get one.
Yeah,
I
the
wanna
word,
get
the
one
word
more question.
almond is really,
Okay, thank you for your
Okay, thank you for your call, brother.
the word almond is a word that comes from the Meta Nectar,
Okay.
which means Mother Nature, which some people call the hieroglyphics.
Is that the book you have there? Making
Yeah.
that? Okay, go
And
ahead.
so that word is still referring to the divine entity.
Okay.
Okay. The one God, whether you call him Amin Ra or just Ra, or Amin, and it actually means trustworthy. I mean, when you break it down in its meaning in terms of native tongues, Aramaic, Arabic.
Okay. Do we have another call?
In the Nile Valley. In the Nile Valley, you know, once upon a time, Ra was a god and Amun was a god.
Exactly.
But to bring those two elements together to create one God, which was the term became Amun Ra.
Okay, very good. Can we bring the caller in?
Go ahead,
We're
caller.
pressed for time.
Thank you very much. Just, you know, we were down here, Minister Yahweh.
All right, Minister Yahweh.
Tribes, if we were not didn't go east or didn't go whatever. And the ones who was called Nigger came from around the river Nigger. They would not be broken. You couldn't break them. They would sit the cotton tails on fire. They would spit in the food. So if they wasn't ready to kill them, they would leave them alone. You'll find them up under the shade tree and doing other things. And also, too, back at the time again to evolve, you know, when a black woman said, that's my nigger, Or when we use the word my nigga because you stood strong, you stood tall, you didn't take no mess. Bottom line, that's where it comes from at the end, and of course it translates what it is now. When I was involved in as far as the Arkansas, about 900 white folks that was screaming, let that nigga, kill that nigga, you know, kicking me and breaking my arms and stuff like that. Calling me nigga didn't bother me, but the breaking of the arms and stuff that bothered me. Now I'm an ambassador of Arkansas, been commissioned by Governor Huckabee. So, you know, it all evolves.
All right, we've got 3 minutes, and we're going to continue this at some point later on. Do you guys agree with Dr. Nantambu? She's been on the show recently, and she even said it at one of the Kwanzaa celebrations, that African American men do not control anything but their woman, their dog, and the TV channel on Sports Sunday. Dr. Talut, you go first.
Well, that's true to a large degree. We've lost control of our families. We've lost control of our communities. We've lost control of our children. And that's one of the reasons why the rappers were so successful in taking the word nigger and perpetuating it.
Okay.
Okay, making money from it. Because there's no one to answer to. That's why the Caucasians are successful in using the word in the general media, because there's no one to answer to.
Okay.
Of course, there have been a few who've lost their position and status and made, you know, that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, these people around the world address us in any way that they want to, knowing that they know of very little consequences. So as men of our societies, men of these 43 million people in America, we have to establish and set the standards, even if it takes war among ourselves. See, we can't allow our future to be destroyed without a fight.
Okay. Lost Poet, you
I
mentioned.
think, you know, and to present the other side, the rappers have taken the power out of the word, using it, you know, I used to rap, so I mean, taking the power out of the word, and that's why it's used so freely among the hip-hop community, among rappers, entertainment, period. They've taken the power out. Just like if you see a Confederate flag, it should not offend you anymore, because there should be no power in that. It only has power if you give it power.
We have 1 more minute. What is the difference between, or is there a difference between a rapper, rap, and hip hop?
Yeah, there's a difference.
Okay.
Rap is just an element of hip hop.
Okay.
You have, you know, 4 elements in hip hop. You have rapping, of course. You have DJing. You have breakdancing. You have graffiti art. Those are the 4 elements. And then the 5th element, of course, is knowledge. That's why it's called hip, because you have to be knowledgeable. So the 5th element is what's lost among most rappers today.
Okay.
131.
And so
Can we have that call back next week?
They gonna call back next week. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's time to get ready to cut out.
Okay. All right. It's been a great show. It is now 12:30.
I enjoyed this. Wish we had longer.
Can African American men, or should African American men control the sociological mores of African American community across the sociological landscape? I do not hear our theme song, so let's.
It's playing.
It is?
Yes, it is.
You know, I'd like to hear it.
But then you'll get feedback too.
He said he liked to hear
Yeah, I did. But anyway, we're going to do another 15 minutes. It's 12:30. So when my boy, with your I'm going to go to.
So I used to rap. I still rap.
Yeah, well,
We rap it now.
yeah.
That's MCing. What is MCing?
MCing is that's really scratching. And no, DJing is when you scratch it.
Oh, okay.
MCing is the rapper himself.
Oh, okay. All right.
Actually, when it first started, MCing, the MC would be the DJ and the rapper, because he'd be the one getting the crowd hyped up and everything. You know,
Okay.
It started like 75. Cool
Yeah.
Herc was from Jamaica, the first one to really start MCing, and that was rap and DJing
Yeah.
both.
Okay.
But then they broke it up, and rappers became a separate entity, and then DJing became accepted.
Well, who broke it up?
I'm
Then
saying
I
it
wanna
just
go
broke
back.
up over time. on its
Okay.
own.
Okay.
And
Now,
some people were more proficient at DJing, and others were more
I see.
proficient at talking
So-
over the microphone.
time broke it up. Time and evolution broke it up. Evolved.
It's a matter.
Matter of events happening. That's another subject too. We'll get to that at some point. But African American men, we talked about the word. We talked about honorable men and control and taking care of our issues and TV and all that. So how do
I understood your question, and
can I restate it again?
go ahead.
Should we control those areas? Specifically what and specifically how? And in a way, you sort of touched on it earlier when you were talking about the word itself and where the different groups that you. So you want to take it first?
Well, you know,
Go
yeah,
ahead. And then we'll go to. I
we
think
as black men and women established the culture norms. And within the confines of the culture norms, these are the norms that guides our children properly. When we set the taboos and the culture norms and customs, you know, where the children can be guided by the truth about who we are as a people. You know, and of course, the man in the black community, he's the vanguard person who makes certain that these things go down. Make sure that these things happen, you know, especially within the confines of the young males, young youth. Or
akin to the lions in the jungle?
Surely, you know.
Okay.
Well, because, you know, it's incumbent of the male in the black community to be in charge of the rite of passage. You know, especially for the boys. You know, and the women are in charge of the rite of passage for the girls. Now, when they combine together, they get a total understanding of who they are. The girl and the boy child. The young boy knows he's a warrior. He knows that he has to be responsible for the community in the absence of the men.
Yeah, that's a
That's his
concise.
job.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
a
that.
concise piece of wisdom. Dr. Talut, how important is leadership, insight? We've touched on leadership, and we've touched on language, but we've not touched on insight. How important is leadership, insight, and language in the African American community? Do I need to elaborate a little bit? Or
No,
you
no.
go ahead.
Well, leadership, and we have touched on it many times before.
Mhm.
Leadership derived from an ability of a male being able to direct the course towards a destiny. Okay, meaning that with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and experience, can steer the bow, take that ship in a direction. Okay, know how to read the stars, know how to read the ocean and environment. Okay, know what the capabilities of that ship is. Okay, and take that knowledge to a foreign place and bring back to the people its discovery or his discoveries. We don't do that as black men, as black politicians, as black preachers, as black anything. What we do is a spy, and that's all.
Okay.
Okay, we don't bring one thing back
Okay.
to the people.
I want to go to
Now,
the
my
lost
thing about,
poet.
My thing about leadership is the core is intelligence, and that's why we have a vacuum in our communities, is because we don't have intelligence. We don't have that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I mean, I try to stay away from the word black because people don't even know the root meaning of black. It actually means white. I mean, it means bleached. It means pale. It means wan. And so that's why I don't really use black. And then it doesn't connect you to any land. So the lack of intelligence,
It does not.
the lack of intelligence is what our communities lack, and that's why we don't control anything.
Okay, that's why we were talking
And then you
about
don't have knowledge of self. If you don't have
Right.
knowledge of self, then
Right.
the communities are going to suffer.
when you first came to the show. That's why. Well, you and I had a discussion at Southwest, and that was one of our first discussions was leadership. So that's why it's important to talk about leadership, insight, and language. and also knowledge. Is that right?
Mhm.
Now, what language? Let's see. Let me go to Brother Jibril. Language. What is language? How important is it? And how should we as leaders, men of knowledge, insight, and all those big powerful words, how should we move in that regard?
You know, language to me is a lot of things.
Okay.
I mean, it's voice, it's verbal, it's antics. You know, it's culture. You know,
Can language and certain words for people who lack do not have what we're talking about steer or cause people to go into the wrong direction, as we see so much taking place in the African American community?
Sure.
Brother Jibril?
yeah, you know, that's understood from the so-called Negro elite buffer class. You know, this is a class of people who've been educated.
Right.
They have degrees.
Yeah.
You know, they have grouped themselves all from the masses,
Yeah.
and they have wealth. But that wealth is not internalized with all of us as a whole. That wealth is only defined within the context of that Negro elite buffer class, petty bourgeoisie.
Right.
You know, they enjoying the fruits of America, Western world society. They enjoy it. They don't see no reason to struggle.
And that's what the American educational system does to you, bro. It alienates you from your people, because I've been in a PhD program, and the whole idea of the program is to lead you away from your people.
Sure.
Lead education. Lead away, duke, lead away. That's what
So
education
that
does.
whole thing about the definition of education being a process by where it leads one out of bondage, out of freedom, not freedom, but out of slavery, that's a misnomer. The root word of
No, I'm talking
education.
about the
Hold
way
on a
the
second.
American educational system is set up. There's
Oh,
a
okay.
proper
So
education
you're
that
saying-
will lead you into who you're supposed to be. your
Sure.
divine
So you're
self.
saying that there's a twist on it that leads, that's why I raised the question. If we're not careful, most definitely, not knowing what we're doing, it will lead us away
It'll
from
whitewash.
our people. I'm
It'll
not
make you become a
whitewash.
black white.
Dr. Jibril, sound like you want
It's by
you wanna get
choice,
back
you
in
know,
there.
by choice, the educated black man in the Western world have chose to be a part of that buffer Negro elite class. Boule.
Boule, okay.
Because it's beneficial for them, you know, and then they hang around their own camp. You know, they don't come and associate with their lower class cousins or even brothers and sisters that they left somewhat in the urban part of the city, because they have taken their wealth and they have run to the end of the neighborhood where the suburbs is, or where the suburbs start. You know, and
Point
they-
well taken. I want to go to Dr. Talut. How important, we had a conversation one time, and the conversation on one day reminds me of Emil Cocker-Broad, Return to the Source. And you said something about knowing your people. How important is it for men like us having these kinds of discussions to know their people? How important is that? And how does that come about? And when we learn that, or is it a learning process ongoing? I know I'm loading you up because we're coming down to close time. And how do we proceed in that vein, if you will?
The only one that can truly know the people are the ones who have experienced the people and have gone through the trials and tribulations and the struggles. And they become so sensitized to the need until Almighty God elevate them to be able to look down on the people. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land.
Okay.
And basically what he was saying, in my estimation, is that he has lived long enough to know the people. He know them. He know their needs. And the point about that is, one has to have a desire to go out and make the discoveries and bring them back to the people based on what that one knows about the people.
Okay,
And if
certainly.
that's not going on with the elite blacks.
No, no.
That's why I said we aspire.
Yeah.
Okay, we accept corporate America. And the education that we get is corporate education. It's to cookie cut us all across the land and have us the same
Cookie cut.
person on the West Coast as the East Coast, and we fit right in quite well with what
Yeah.
corporate America wants.
Okay, now look.
Design.
Yeah.
By design.
Now, Doctor, I was telling you last night that I was doing some studying, looking at Dr. Claude Anderson. He wrote the book Black Labor, White Wealth. And he was talking about from one year to the next, more African American politicians had been elected, but African Americans had not received one iota of a dime since these African Americans have taken office. Now, I want to go to Brother Jibril. Should local politicians call the show? Dr. Richmond invited them to the Walker House next Tuesday. Should they call the show and tell us what they have done for the African Americans? And we're talking about right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Brother Jibril, take off on it.
These people is not going to come forward and do anything for the black community.
Should they?
They have been elected. to
And
do
they
so.
should.
And they should.
They should. But they,
But-
in your
but they're-
they're not. You're
but
saying
they're-
they're not.
but they're-
Because, go ahead.
Their education and their orientation won't allow them, because they have chose to drink the Kool-Aid of the buffer class, of the elite Negro class. That they are benefiting from the status quo, the way we exist here in the Western world. They benefit from it. They are getting wealthy on the treatment of black people on an ordinary level. The working poor.
Yeah.
Because see, our people just not poor and just outdoors. They are working poor. They have a status in American system that's just not tolerated or is respected.
Okay.
Nobody respect the working poor. That's why they keep the wages down. They don't want to give the enough wages, livable wages, for working poor people.
Okay.
A
Brother.
working,
Yeah.
12 hours, 16 hours an hour is a living wage.
Got it. We're going to take a couple more minutes. Lost Poet, this lack of respect for the working poor. What about that? What do you have to say about that? Can that be changed? And how should it be changed? And what's your view on that?
It can
I
be
think we all
changed.
agree on that.
Everything
with that.
Everything can be changed.
Sure.
Okay.
But,
That's true.
It takes
Very
time. You have to get the right people in place. You have to change the system.
Process, yeah.
The system is what's messed up. So anytime you go into this system as a politician, you're committed to that system, and this system is not a system that was set up for us, by us, to do us any good. And so that's why you see the working class poor suffering, because they have no voice in that system. So you need a new system in order for them to have a voice.
Okay. We're out of time. We're out of time. Let's take.
Again,
Well, look, we do. Well, you know what? We do have some control in this matter here. So, sounds like you want to get in there,
Well-
and then you, Brother Jibril, and we'll wrap it up because the technician has
Well,
to.
I continuously say until the day I die
Okay.
that the common man and woman have responsibility. See, the system doesn't work for us. No question about that. It's obvious. We can just look out and see it doesn't work for us. Okay?
Yeah. Look across the landscape.
You just look, just walk through the neighborhood. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So the thing is, when black men and women run for office, win the office, they began to see the common man and woman as numbers. See, it's a pool of numbers
no
now.
fish no more.
Okay, it's like the whale that take the huge number of fish, right, or dolphins, take that big blob number of fish, and they keep manipulating the pile until they're able to go in and eat and feed as they want. That's exactly what black politicians do.
Okay.
Okay, you are not a person in their eyes. You are a number. Okay, and so they know all they have to do is say something. The numbers move one way or the other. Okay, they can do something, the numbers move another way. And they can keep manipulating those numbers until they get the number that catapult them on into office.
Okay, Brother Jibril. And then I want to go to the lost poet, and I want you to have last word, and I promise you got to get out of here after that.
I want to say this because
Take a couple of
the
minutes. We've got 5 minutes.
politics is
Three
not
more,
going to
actually.
be the salvation of us as African people in America. It's going to have to deal with some aspect of cultural economics. We're going to have to find a way that we can take our dollar back and make our dollar benefit us. See what I'm saying? We have earning power in the Western world, but that earning power don't manifest itself in what we need for ourselves. We need right now. We need like Muhammad Yunus did in Bangladesh. You know, here's a man here that won the Nobel Prize for economics because he started a bank that banked to the poor, not the middle class or the elite class or the upper class. He put the bank forward to the bank to the poor. See, we need a banking system on the ground level that we can get rid of these check cashing places. I said it.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these people,
the title
that's
loan and all
title
that.
loan, payday
Listen,
loan, all this stuff. This
yeah, I
stuff
hear-
is killing
I
our
hear-
community.
I hear some-
You know, and it's by design,
I
just
hear
like
some-
the education
yeah, I hear-
process.
I hear
It's
some
by
grumbling.
design. They
I hear
don't.
I hear some grumbling next door. It's time for us to get out of here. But lost poet,
But-
take the last word. Close out for us. Take 2 minutes and close it out for us.
I don't know if I got 2 minutes, but I still think we should
Whatever you have.
think about, you know, when we talk about economics and resources are part of economics, all our resources are in Africa. You know, that's why I'm trying to go to Africa. I'm not trying to be part of this because America is going to fall eventually, and I want to be part of it. So you go to Africa, and you can find a way to regain control of those resources. When you get there, you're going to see Europeans controlling those resources as well.
Yeah.
But with the numbers you have over there, then you can put up the fight.
Okay.